Welcome everyone to the Electrical Culture of Safety Livewire program, where we delve into all the complexities of creating a culture of safety within the electric utility industry. In each episode, we feature interviews with subject matter experts, industry leaders, safety professionals, and field personnel from across the industry, where we discuss ways to develop a collective reflection of the perception, attitudes, and shared experiences of the safety culture within our industry. Welcome to ECOS Livewire. Well, good morning.
Hey, Michael, how you doing, brother?
Doing good. Good to see you.
You're looking mighty fine today.
Well, I'm feeling good, man. Feeling good. I always look forward to these recording sessions. These are a lot of fun, and hopefully we're doing something that people get something out of that can help kind of change things in our industry.
Yeah, no, I think these are very beneficial and quite a bit different from most podcasts that I've heard as far as the overall theme.
Yes, I agree. There's a lot of great podcasts out there that deal with our industry, but I think we've chosen to kind of focus on something that really is a big issue in our industry. And of course, you know, we've talked about this in the past a bit. There's just too many serious injuries and fatalities that are happening. And it's just heartbreaking. It really is. And so I'm glad that we've chosen to do this. And, you know, hopefully we can give people something to do, and some ideas and processes that maybe can change things. Who knows?
Yeah. So today we have an interesting guest as far as our Livewire is concerned, and that's with a gentleman who's not too far into the industry, but he's getting involved with the safety aspect of our industry. And so I'm super interested in learning his perspective and some goals and ideas that he can share with us. So, yeah, I'm ready to meet Mr. Brandon. You say his last name, Kluthe?
We'll have him pronounce it for us when he comes on.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
let's do that, man.
Just before we get there, let me give you a little bit of background on Brandon.
Okay.
He started in the electrical industry in 2000. So, you know, he's been in the industry for, you know, a while now. And he started 2 days after he graduated from high school. So He went right from high school, and he went to work for a company that did power line construction, street lighting, traffic signal work, airport runway lighting, and light commercial work. So, you know, he went to work for a company that did, you know, a little bit of everything when it comes to electrical. So he got some good experience there. In 2010, he started with a municipality doing high voltage underground construction. So he was doing probably, you know, a lot of URD work and maintenance. He just recently, just 2 weeks ago, he became the safety coordinator in a newly created position in the municipality that he had been working for since 2010. So he says he's going to oversee the following departments: underground, overhead, water, and power plant personnel for a coal plant and plant that has gas turbines. So he's going to have quite a bit of responsibility. And, I think this is normally, Brent, we bring on people and talk to people who have been in the industry a lot longer, and maybe are tied a little bit more closely to line construction exclusively. And so, you know, I'm looking forward to Brandon's perspective. Someone who's a little bit younger and maybe just be, you know, really getting his sinking his teeth into the safety aspect of electrical work. And so it's going to be interesting to see what his perspective is, and hopefully, you know, he can teach us something. We learn something from everybody we bring on. So
Yep,
I'm
that's
looking
right.
forward to getting to know Brandon a little bit better. So with that, let's bring on Brandon, and we'll get to know him.
Yeah.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Hey,
Brandon,
Brandon.
good to see
Good,
you.
sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So last name is Kluth-ee.
Kluthe.
Yes, sir.
Kluth-ee.
Yes, sir.
Kluthe.
Okay.
Excellent. Well,
But
Nice.
it's been pronounced wrong all my life, so we're good.
Well, we'll do it right, Mr. Kluth-ee.
no, very few people pronounce my last name correct either.
Yeah.
It's Bear. They always call me Mike Bear, right?
Yeah.
So, but of course it's Bar. But anyway, we'll try to remember that, Brandon. Well, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. So we're excited to have you on, and we're really looking forward to learning a little bit more about Brandon and how you got where you're at, and where are you going, and what some of your perspectives are so far, in the electrical, some of the things you've learned, the do's, the don'ts. So we'll just kind of explore things as we go along.
Okay.
Yeah. So we usually start out by just asking people, what's your Livewire story? Where did you get, you mentioned that you went to work for a company that did power line construction 2 days after high school graduation. So let's kind of walk through how you got started.
Yeah. I'd known for a while in high school that this is what I wanted to do as far as electrical work goes. I had intentions of going to a 2-year just electrical technology college. And, I started working as a summer job, and, I actually started out with a line crew that we were rolling up wire, they're wrecking line out. And that was my summer job. And, college time came, and I decided, making money was good and raises were good. And I kind of stuck with it and said, I'll wait 6 months and go. And, 6 months came and went, and that turned into a year. And, the contractor I worked for at the time, he actually sent us through Associated Builders and Contractors has a class that you take at night. So I did 2 nights a week. He paid for it, which is nice. We worked through the day and then did that at night, 2 nights a week for 4 years. And I walked out with a certificate from the Department of Labor.
Excellent.
And, I was with that company for about 5 years and moved back closer to home and worked for a few contractors. And then the job came up with the municipality, and I jumped on that. And, I love it. I have no regrets on getting into the power line industry, and it's been great.
Yeah. Interesting. It's very similar. I started in my career right out of high school as well. I had thoughts about going to college, and it just didn't seem like I was more interested really in making money, and buying a car, and, dating and all those things, and so I got right in. My brother-in-law actually was a IBW electrician, and I just always kind of gravitated towards kind of doing what he did, and I've never regretted it. It's just that I love the industry. I love electrical workers in general. I just think we're part of a very special group of people, and it's as I said, it's a great industry. It's good work. It's, a person can make a really good living at it, and of course there are hazards, right?
Definitely. Yes.
The electrical industry has, the thing about the hazards in our industry is they're very unforgiving. And, when something happens, it's usually bad. And so that's kind of what this podcast is about, is trying to maneuver through some of these complexities that we have, and try to figure out why it is that things are happening is at the rate that they are. So, great insight there. So kind of take us through your career to this point and what you've done, what you've seen, when it comes to behaviors that you've encountered that kind of lead to some of the things we're talking about. Have you experienced any of that?
Yeah. So like when I was in Lincoln, I ended up getting that's where I went to work for the contractor and ended up getting my journeyman electrician's license. And when I started with the municipality, they sent us through the merchant program.
Right.
And went through that. And, I never did do my climbing hours. So I would have that left on the table, but
right.
Working with the guys we have, we got a good group of people where we're at. Incident rates have been fairly low, pretty minor, all the way across the board. And, we never had a safety position, a dedicated safety position.
Right.
We always had kind of our, so like our power plant had their little safety committee. We just kind of had independent safety committees, and then we'd meet together and discuss things.
Sure.
And, it was nothing crazy. We've knock on wood, we've been lucky that there hasn't been anything major happen.
Right.
And, it's going to be good stepping into this role. I have a lot of ideas, and we've been trying for about, I'm going to say 10 years at least to try and get a safety position. And it just hasn't worked out. And luckily the cards played right about 3-4 months ago. And, we kind of got one established and going, and I made the push for it, and
right.
The qualifications were there. And I thought, you know what, I made the push. I probably better put my hat in the ring to get it done. Yeah. So, and I'm glad I did. We started off, like a couple weeks ago. This is my 3rd week into it. So,
right.
Kind of hit the ground running as far as all kinds of different ideas, being on the underground. I don't know. We're kind of unique from what I know through the nation. As far as departments go, we have an underground and an overhead. So we're kind of split. We're still one department,
sure,
but we're 2 different entities there as far as that goes. And, so I got a pretty good idea of what needs to be done as far as trainings go and what we really need to get after. So I've been kind of hitting the ground running on that and lining up some trainings and visiting our power plants to see more of their processes. I don't really, I know a few of the processes, but not all of it. So walking through there and checking those things out, and we're on a shutdown now. So that helps look through the processes better without having loud noises and everything else all day long. So, we're just trying to get a mock Mayday training lined up. We haven't done that in a while. We just got some trenching and shoring classes, confined space classes we need to get caught up on and stuff like that. And, I just look forward to it. And, going out and, the stigma with a safety guy is, oh no, the safety guy's on site. Let's get out of here, I've made it clear, and it helps. I think that I've had a relationship with most everybody for 14 years here. So, that's been a bonus. I made it clear when I'd go on site, I said, hey, I'm not here to be the bad guy. If you have an accident, I don't want to sit here and say you're in solitary confinement for 3 days. You're not allowed to work. Let's talk about it. What led up to this that made us have this accident? Are we missing something on the training side of things that, we need to hit and we need to push to home and everything else and make that happen? So, it's been interesting the 2 weeks that I've been at it, and I look forward to it. I have no regrets thus far. So,
it's going to take some time. I learned a lot of hard lessons. I've been, obviously in the safety field now for close to 40 years, and you learn a lot. And one thing that I have found, Brent and I talk about this a lot. We've talked about it on some of our other podcasts that we want to try and help people create. We're not a crew out there. You're not visiting crews. You're visiting teams, and you're part of that team. And you know, to me, the safety profession, we got to become more like a team member and a coach, if you will, you know. And the worst thing that people can do, I believe, is going into a new safety position is trying to put that perception out there that you have any kind of authority or that you're in charge in any way, because that will shut people down pretty quick.
Yep.
And so I'm glad to hear, you know, that you know, you're kind of looking at it that way. So Brandon, anything, what was it that really, because you could have stayed where you were at, right?
Yep.
And on an hourly basis, and maybe, you know, in a lot of situations, maybe even made more money, you know, staying in the field. So you know, what is it that drew you to the safety profession? I mean, what makes people want to make that change from the field to it? Because let's face it, being the safety guy sometimes is not easy.
No, you know, I've actually had some people tell me I was crazy for doing what I was doing, and I'm okay with that. You know, I just think, you know, I look at, you know, before where we had our safety committees, and safety, as far as a title went, it was more of a secondary job to everybody. And, you know, you always had your job you had to get done at that time, you know, and so you couldn't really back up and catch the trainings that you needed to do. There was nobody that said, hey, this month we're doing this month we're doing this month we're doing this. We just kind of went with it. And when somebody was able to get something lined up, that's what we did.
Right.
And so, you know, I think it's imperative that we're all on board as far as what we needed to be doing and what those trainings that we really, really need to stay with the industry standards and industry changes as time goes on. You know, I mean, we need to be making those changes. And, you know, the culture change for me was the big one for me right off the start. You know, I think I told you earlier on the phone when we had a conversation that back in August of last year, I went to sit on my mower to do some mowing, and I thought, you know, our safety meetings get a little stagnant.
Right.
I want to kind of find something that'll help draw everybody in and, you know, give some input on what we need to be doing and everything else. And, you know, I searched out a podcast on my phone, and I happened to type in blue collar leadership. I saw that. I actually typed in blue collar to start, and thinking that'll give me something. And, you know, blue collar leadership popped up, and it's a gentleman by the name of Max Story, does some leadership development on books and podcasts. And he has a YouTube channel, and, you know, the books he writes, I caught up on the first one. It's 30 Traits of a High Impact Team Player. And I ended up buying the book, and I read it, and it's, you know, you got 30 chapters. I'm going to read a couple here of just kind of what they are, but you got be growth oriented, be trustworthy, be humble, be responsible, be positive, be flexible, be focused, be disciplined. You know, it's all be this. Yes. You need to be this. You need to be this. Well, they're 3-page chapters, 30 chapter books. So I'm like, this is perfect. Actually bought a couple copies for our utilities director and our city administrator. Nice. And just kind of went to them and said, this is kind of what I want to do. You know, I want to do a book study with our groups and bring people together, find a better connection with each other, you know, personally, professionally, whatever we need to do to help us.
Right.
And, you know, that took off the first of the year, and, you know, we got an underground group study, book study, and an overhead book study that we divided into 2 over on the overhead. Right. And we sit and listen to an audible, and everybody has their own book, and they can highlight in there, you know, kind of what sticks out to them, what resonates to them. Yeah. And then you take a couple minutes after it's done and you have a chat, you know, so we're 15 minutes each time. Excellent. And, you know, and I think that's a good way to start the day. You know, it gets you thinking about that for the rest of the day, and it helps you connect better with your team at the end of the day, I feel like. Exactly. So that really got me going, and I'm glad, you know, I'm glad our municipality allowed that. Yeah. And it's been great, you know, and we actually have some more departments that are interested in doing that. And I think that helps the team synergy as time goes on, you know.
Absolutely. Because, you know, if we're ever going to get, to a point where we see a significant reduction in what is happening in our industry, we just have been kind of flying along here for the last 20 years of, having this, 20 to 30 to sometimes 40 fatalities a year, and with a lot of other serious incidents. And, it's not that the companies that have these incidents are not training, because they are training. It's not that there's not job briefings happening, because every time we have an incident, there's been a job briefing, right? That we're checking all the boxes, we're doing all the things, but yet people are still making these decisions or judgments that, and so the kinds of things that you're talking about here, this is changing the way people think about their personal safety. And that's really what it comes down to, is making sure that everyone has that proper mindset, that they are part of this team, and that we have to do things collectively.
Yep.
Everything has to me be done as a collective. This team has to evaluate all the hazards and make the determination of how they're going to mitigate those hazards as a team.
Yep.
And the kinds of things you're doing is to me is a big step in that direction.
So, so Brandon, I have a couple of questions for you. It's interesting how the tactical strategies. I don't know if you were even aware of what was happening, or it just kind of came natural, but to share things and topics with your company, and to get the organization that you work with and for to buy into this culture of coming together as a team, from the top down and from the down up, and how you got everybody interested. It's almost like giving them little subjects and little topics, and then watching their eyes light up for the buy-in. I mean, was that something that was natural? Did you strategize? Because you took some time to do this, and it even though it happened quickly, it's still a process. Kind of go over that with us.
Yeah, no, it didn't. It wasn't easy, as a matter of fact, as far as personally, because stuff like this, even this podcast, it's hard for me because I don't. It's not that I don't like doing them, because I like the content that comes out of it. Mm-hmm. But like the book thing, it was hard for me because you have that stigma of the industry for so long of being a hard-nosed, hard-headed, everything else, as far as all that goes, as far as the stigma related to line work, as far as the people go. I mean, it's I go back thinking 20 years ago to who I worked with as far as the line foreman and everything were back then. They were rough people. You didn't have mercy. You didn't have any of that. So it was hard for me to share that, because what I thought was helping me, I knew would help everybody else at some point. Even if you have nothing to share at the end of it, it got you thinking. And that's the big thing. It makes you think, at least in your own mind, what you need to be doing differently to help yourself and help your team along.
Correct.
And so it was hard for me. It took me, I read that book in August. I think I finally approached upper management in October, because I had all this idea and I was starting to run fast with it. And then I just kind of pumped the brakes and I went, okay, hold on. We need to make sure we go about this at the right way,
the right pace,
and the right pace and everything else, and to make sure that this works. Excuse me. So, we just had to make sure we did it right. And, I don't have any intentions on stopping. There's plenty of other books out there that we can cover.
Oh yeah.
A good one that sticks out to me is and maybe it might not be totally the best fit, but I think it would be a great fit, is the 8 Habits of a Highly Effective Safety Culture. Mm-hmm. I finished that up not all that long ago. And that might be a good one too, to sit down and go over with everybody. And, you know, they find a lot of good value out of that. So no, it really wasn't easy for me to step into that and do that. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it starts with me, but it's not about me. So, I mean, I think I did some good value as far as that goes, as far as our team goes.
Yes. Good deal.
That's nice.
Yes. Very good. Yeah. It's, when you talk about, you know, being, you can't change it overnight.
No.
You know, I've kind of gotten to where I don't really use the word culture anymore. You know, culture to me, I don't even know really if safety culture is a real thing anymore. You know, it because it's all here. It's all individual to me, and unless you got every individual on board, and maybe that is culture. I don't know. I struggle with that word, but just one person on that team, right, can really change things. You know, just one person, and trying to get it all done and get the people in the right frame of mind, right, takes time.
Yes.
But man, I love the direction you're going. I really do think that you've, because I'm telling you, Brandon, I've been doing this a long time, and I see a lot of people come from the field into safety, and it's almost like they have to establish their dominance from day one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And man, once you start off on that wrong foot, it's really hard to get it back.
Right.
It really truly is. And so it's a process for sure.
Yeah.
And, love what you're doing, man.
No, you know, it's building relationships, you know, that's a big thing. And that goes a long ways. I mean, it's
absolutely,
it lets the people know, and the rest of the team know that, you know, we're in this together.
Yeah.
You know, I value input from everybody, because I'm no subject matter expert on everything that we do in our industry. You know, there's people that are better knowledge at a lot of different things than I am.
That's right.
You know, it's about taking those people and helping everybody learn from that, you know, and that's where it comes from. It's, you know, I mean, the new guy, you know, he might have something to offer that nobody else has ever thought of as far as it goes. Correct. So it's about building those relationships and working with each other. So that's a big thing for me.
Exactly. Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about how you got, you know, from where you started to where you are now. So talk a little bit about, you know, the 20 some odd years you've been in the industry. What kind of experience that you've either seen or maybe even participated in with respect to how people perceive safety, how people perceive management, and do they feel like, have you felt like that sometimes it's just lip service?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I would say where we're at here today, you know, we got a great group of people that they've been on board with everything. You can bring something up and, yep, that's a great idea. Let's get a training going on that. Or, you know, so as far as like some of the management goes, as time went on, it got better. You know, early on in my career, I think you could say things to management and it wouldn't go anywhere.
Right.
And so I don't know if that's a change all the way across the board, or if that's just where the cards fell to where I'm at now. I just happen to be surrounded with great people. I don't, maybe that's another thing in it. I don't really know, but you know, as far as all that goes, it's been pretty well received as far as we need this, we need that, you know, we need help, you know, and they're all there just to say, let's do it. You know, what do we need to do? So it's a great group effort as far as on our front where we're at today. So
excellent. Yeah. Good deal. It's, you know, you sound like you've moved into a fairly good situation when it comes to your relationship, not only with the guys in the field, but management.
Yeah.
And that's good. But you got to keep learning, of course. And,
Yes.
I like to say, I love the direction you're going. And I think you're going to have a lot of success.
That's the main goal. My main goal when I leave here is to make sure everybody goes home at the end of the day right with me.
Correct.
So that's
Yeah.
our main goal.
Excellent.
So you have a wonderful situation, Brandon. It sounds like these folks that you're working with, your team, your line team. It's nice to hear their openness, and you really you are developing and fostering a great team synergy as far as a blueprint and a model for others that they can follow and learn from and grow positively from it. The contribution, your participation, the challenging the status quo and allowing it to happen. With you all, it's safe to learn, and you're including everybody. And so basically, all the psychology of safety, you're bringing into the whole gamut and the whole structure of your company, and that's huge success, and that in itself creates the byproduct of safety. And it's not that safety is the topic at all, but you brought it up a couple of times, and Mike, you brought it up as well, as far as the relationships, developing relationships, developing trust, developing leadership, and learning leadership as far as a skill, because we're not born with it, right?
No,
Right.
no.
And then training everybody else the same principles and the same things throughout your company, straight across the board, is fantastic, man. I mean, this is a great model for a organization and individuals coming together as unified, as one. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And you're right, Brandon. Brandon, it's all about creating that. Obviously, everybody, as far as I'm concerned, has the DNA to become a safety leader, right? And to become a leader. You don't have to have a title, right? As a foreman or supervisor. That's not, and just having the title doesn't make you a leader.
Right.
And I think every one of us have that ability to become a safety leader, and a leader in general, and to work as a team. And gosh, that's really what it's all about, man.
Yeah. No, it's good, and I know I've said it, but the relationships are the biggest thing there is. I mean, as long as you got a relationship with everybody, even if you can win over that guy that's been here forever, and nope, I'm not doing that, I'm not changing, I'm not, just sit down and chat with them and say, what's the hang up here? Help me understand what you see about this that's not good.
Yeah.
And you win those people over, and everything else falls into place.
Yeah. I've got a guy that I worked with years and years and years ago that he's a few years younger than me, but he's still at it. Like I am. And we talked here a while back, and he said that he still, he hasn't figured out, when he rolls up on a job, everybody just stops. Everybody stops working whenever he rolls up on a job. And sometimes they'll just cab up, right? Nobody wants to talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
And the second he drives up, everybody stops, and somebody goes to the pickup and grabs the clipboard with the job briefing on it and hands him the job briefing. And there's no communication, and that they learned that that team, that crew learned that the easiest way for them to get through a visit from the safety guy was to just stop and hand him the clipboard, right? Yep. And that's learned behavior, that because it's not been a good experience. And as I tried to explain to this individual, you know, that he may want to change his approach, and stop looking for, because all he ever does is looks for things wrong, you know. And he even admitted to me one time that he had gone to a job and saw some things that could have been changed, never said a word to the crew. But when he got back on the road, he sends a text or an email to the superintendent that he found some things wrong. Right? So what does the superintendent do? He calls the crew and says, "Hey, so-and-so was just out there and he said he saw these things." How is that going to build a team?
It doesn't, you know, and that's my philosophy, is that doesn't fix anything.
It doesn't.
You know? I mean, you're better off sitting down and having a conversation and walking with the guys wherever they're at, whether it's in a facility setting or an outside setting, and not making a big deal out of nothing, and just having a normal conversation. And, you know, in there, lead with, "Hey, you know, I noticed this over there. You know, is there a reason this is out of place?" But you don't harp on it. You just have a casual conversation about, you know, daily life and how things are going, and, you know, be personable with them, and, you know, get on a personal level with everybody.
Exactly.
And, you know, all that stuff just works itself out. It's there. It's, you know, "Oh, you're right. That is out of place. You know, we didn't notice that. You know,
thanks for bringing that up."
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's all in how you treat people.
It is. And I think that's a big part of some of the things that are wrong. And let's face it, not everybody that leaves the field and goes into the safety profession is suited for that.
Right.
It's, you know, but I'm telling you, and things are changing. They are, guys, they're changing a bit. But in our industry, safety has always been thought of, you know, it's just a slot you have to fill, right? Yeah, it's just something we have to do.
Right.
And we'll make the best of it. And so let's find that guy in the field that maybe not be doing that well in the field, right?
Right.
And maybe is one of those guys that you know, let's put him over here and have him handle safety. And a lot of companies think of it as just a throwaway. It's just a cost that they have to absorb.
Yeah.
Because they got to have a safety guy there.
Right.
And that's been my experience, and that is changing. It is. It's you know, obviously the consequences of not having a proper program and building the teams the way we should are huge.
Yeah.
You know, so, but things are changing.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, a lot of it for me too is finding the material and finding the topics that are relatable.
Right.
You know, I mean, we're going to go over a video on office safety. Well, guess what? Our line personnel and our water personnel don't need to go over that, you know.
They don't need that.
And my goal is to tailor those things, you know, like I plan on using some of the national lineman webinar videos, and whether we break it up into 2 sections or whatever for our overhead and underground department, you know, and just tailor those departments to the things they need, not, we're going to sit and watch another safy video, you know.
Absolutely.
Another waste of 30 minutes, you know.
Those
let's make it good. And
those do not help. Those do not help.
No.
It has to be relatable, and it has to be coming from, you know, one of the things that I think is a big part of what's going wrong in an industry is there's a lot of people that we teach them rules all the time.
Yep.
We give them all these rules, and we you know, Brent mentioned this a while back. You know, we have an incident. What do? We add more rules, right?
Right. And
our book gets thicker and thicker. Well, I personally believe that people, for some of the big ones, you know, the fatal 4, for instance, people truly don't understand the hazard. they honestly don't, or they wouldn't be doing the things that we, so I don't think we tell people what they have to do, but I don't think we're as good as telling them why they need to do it. Making sure that they truly understand that.
Yeah.
Because if they truly understood it and truly understood the consequences, I think some would be less likely to violate the things that they do in order to make contact with that hazard or get involved with it. So showing them a video on office safety when they don't work in an office, that to me is not only not good, but in some ways harmful.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I definitely wholeheartedly agree with that.
Because you're just telling them that you really don't care what it is that you're giving them. You're just checking a freaking box. Right?
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think you've, I love what you're doing, man.
Yeah. It's exciting, and people have asked me, do you regret it yet? And no, and I don't think I ever will, because I am kind of passionate about certain topics that we need to be training on, quite frequently, not just once a year or twice a year. Some of this needs to be done, maybe quarterly, but there's definitely things that we need to be learning. This mock Mayday thing, we haven't had one for probably 12 years.
Right.
So, do we know the steps? It's
People,
you might forget the steps in the heat of the moment too, but if you train on it enough, it sticks with you. And it's, it's like CPR and first aid.
Absolutely.
Like riding a bicycle, it all comes back to you when you start,
You do. And people think they would know exactly what to do in the event somebody goes down in a bucket, or, or they're hanging upside down in their belt on a pole. Everybody thinks they know, but unless you practice that, and practice it frequently, you might be able to get that person down, but you're going to save a lot of time if you've practiced it. And in those situations, it's all about time.
Yes, definitely.
It's all about being able to get that person down as quickly as possible and keep you safe too.
Yep.
And if you don't practice it, it's going to be tougher.
Yep.
So I think, Brandon, you're talking about the things that are very pro collective consciousness. In other words, coming together and just enabling that free energy that we have between us while we connect consciously and electrically, our minds together, because together we're way more powerful. And how you talked about coming to that person on your team that's basically isolated himself. In other words, he doesn't have that buy-in yet as far as the team concept, and how you come to that person, that hard case, and you come to that person who is insulated and isolated himself from the team culture or the team core value, and how you come to that person with curiosity. Hey, what's up? And you act interested in that person. And at the same time, you show respect to the person. And I like how you just talk to them on that one-on-one level, connecting with them and finding that synergy that might not be there at the time, but trying to get that person to rediscover their power within them and rediscover what it means to have a aligned team. And I like the steps that you're taking to accomplish these things, and the success that you could predict. It's really cool because you had this vision a long time ago, and you predicted by seeing these changes that need to happen. How? So you've studied, you've done some research, and you're continually learning, which, man,
Yeah.
If we could just get that through where we just continually learn, and you're showing exactly what we must. It's not just a job, 9 to 5 or 6 to 6 and get your check. No, we got to continue to learn so we can support and encourage and grow and foster that. And I like what you bring. So with all that said, you're doing it.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, you're doing it. So what about that vision? Because it's funny how you'll start with a vision and you see the success and you predicted it and it freaking happened. Like Mike used the word freaking already. So
well, I know the other word, if I used, we'd have to cut it out.
That's right. That's right. So we're going to make this easy on Brandon.
Yeah.
All right. So you made it freaking happen. And you brought up the word passion and vision. So where are you going to take us? Where are you going to take us as far as this journey and life partnership?
Well, I think, it's that constant teamwork as far as we all go throughout our daily lives. And, as the older guys retire and the younger guys come in, it's having them understand, we've lost a lot of experience over here, but we can make this up with a collective team, as long as we're on the same page day in and day out, and we're there supporting each other and we're making sure our head's in the ball game day after day, we can work past that. I mean, there's great things that can come with being one team, and you can't lose sight of that. And, I foresee the group we have here and the things that we've done thus far, it's going to be good. I mean, as long as we stay on top of the things we need to be doing and not lose the people around us, you keep them with you during the day, and, you make sure you're talking to them and everything else, and make sure they don't get lost in the mix, or the new guy starting, is he falling behind? Is he missing something? Let's revisit it. Let's set him down after a week and say, hey, are you good? Do you have everything you need? Are we, what do we need to brush up on? Or what do we make sure that that you're missing right now? How can we help? And it's doing that day in and day out. I think that will establish a good, not like Mike wants to say, but a good culture.
Yes.
Exactly. It's what needs to happen to establish the day in, day out synergy of a team. So
exactly.
As long as we can keep that up and not lose sight of who we're with, that's it. The cards all fall into place after that.
Yeah. One thing to me too that I found, and I had to learn this as well. And you're going to learn a lot of stuff, but one thing I learned is these crews, these teams respond really well to being told they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
When I go out to a crew, and I don't visit a lot of crews anymore, but when I go out and visit a crew, I make it my primary goal to make sure that the guys know that they're doing a good job. Now, obviously, if there's things that need to be talked about, you got to talk about those things. But I never leave a job without letting them know how much I appreciate what they're doing and their focus, on safety. Yep. And that goes so far. And I'm not telling you to fake anything, right?
No,
we're not trying to we're not trying to create this false, but as well as I do, Brent, most of the time the guys are doing their best. They are. Most of the time they do the right thing. And we got to let them know that we appreciate that.
Yeah. People always do more when they know they're valued. So
absolutely. And it's not about trinkets, and it's not about gift cards, and it's not about, people, I don't want to go down, I got a call the other day from, I was talking to a group that I just did some grounding training for, and the guy called me and he told me that some people from the field that had gone through my training had talked about how much they appreciated it, and that they felt that they had some other grounding training, and from another guy who's really great, but they told me how much more they liked my training. Anyway, I don't want to get too far into that, but gosh dang it, that felt good. To have somebody actually reach out and say, good job. Right.
Well, and that lets you know that you're doing a good job.
Exactly.
I mean, it helps everybody.
Yeah, it really does. And it keeps you wanting to do the right thing, because nobody wants to get kicked in the teeth when somebody shows up. And
right.
So I think that's critical, man, that you build the kind of relationship where somebody, when you get ready to leave, man, they shake your hand and say, thanks for coming, man.
Yeah. And, I will add, they do like breakfast pizza and donuts once in a while.
Oh, absolutely.
I always got to remember that.
So. Absolutely, man. There's always time to show up with breakfast burritos or Subway sandwiches. I used to keep a cooler, and I'd get some dry ice, and I'd bring ice cream out,
Yep.
And on a hot day, man, they just love it, but one thing that, as well as I do, these guys in the field, they know when things are artificial.
Right.
They really do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so do you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's definitely times you just know, by how the conversation's going and how people are, that you can read them, and
that they're blowing smoke.
Yeah. They just telling you what you want to hear, and that's all there is to it. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Excellent.
So this is basically, Brandon, as far as a job brief, these boxes that you're bringing up are not on a job brief. But if you think about it, these things that you bring up and sharing are more important than what is on a job brief, because I feel, and I think you see this, and Mike, you as well, that our biggest risk and our biggest hazards are actually the ones that are verbs, the ones we really don't talk about, but the ones that we need to enact. Like, for instance, you brought up authenticity, making them feel valued, giving them support, and reaching back sometimes, or reaching down if they're feeling down, reaching down and lifting them up, raising them up, giving them strength. And if that strength comes from you, man, just pour out, give some of that strength from you to them. And basically, you can conclude with all these things that you're bringing up today is that no line team member is left behind.
Right.
And I just really like the foundation and the example that you're setting, and you're successful, and everybody in your group, everybody around you is successful as well. And you share that success equally. And there's happiness, there's joy, there's fulfillment. When you become life partners with one another, it's not that it's a marriage, but it is a line team. And there's health benefits, there's mental capacity benefits, and how we think, and that we're not being ruled by emotions, but we're being ruled by our values. And I like everything you're doing, man. It's a great example.
Yeah. Well, and my end goal is nothing changes. As time goes on, we don't change. Change is inevitable, and you have to change at some point, but don't change the core basic fundamentals that make us get to where we need to be.
That's what it's all about, man.
So, yes.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been great, guys. Really enjoyed this. I think we've touched on some really important topics. Mm-hmm. And looking forward to getting this out there and getting you out there, Brandon. Let people know who you are, Yeah. So, and if there's anything that I can ever do to help you, or Brent or anybody else, don't hesitate to reach out, man.
Well, I appreciate that. And I'm truly honored to be on here. I really am. After watching episodes of people that have been here, I'm nowhere near worthy enough to be on here, but I truly appreciate it. So
yeah, you'll
be on here.
You're one of my top guests. I can tell you that. I've enjoyed talking with you.
So, well, I appreciate that.
Appreciate you visiting, Brandon, and sharing your heart and sharing your vision with us. And man, I guarantee you that there'll be a lot of folks over the years that will hear everything you shared here today years from now. And you are going to be a big influencer in this industry. Yep. You will. You'll see.
Well, thank you.
Because we need young influencers, because a lot of the influencers in this industry are getting old, right? So we're not going to live forever, right, Brent?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, great. Loved it. It's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate your time, Brandon. And Brandon, as always, love interacting with you, and I love your insight. And we make a good team, right?
Yeah, man. And Brandon helps fulfill the team.
Yeah. All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.